It appears the Cam Newton interview did more damage than we thought for Claressa Shields. In this video, I will break down some of the lies, some of the timeline, what's not making sense. In this video, I can assure you, you're not going to want to miss it. Allow me to get unpacked.
Everybody can talk about some, oh, Clarissa look pregnant.
They be pregnant where?
No, I'm not. I was just a little sad.
On the other, I'm just.
You know my man Papoose in Africa. Told me he can't wait till he get back. I'm like, I can't wait till he get back either. I hope he had a good time over there, and I already know he did. They my man chief in Africa. My man became the African chief for Kim. You wanna know what I find funny? You said, read our comment. You said Papoose ain't gonna be with you long. Enjoy. You don't even know how long we've been together. You think this some like month, 2 months, 3 month, 4 month type relationship? It's just crazy. It's really crazy, and I'm gonna let you say what you want to say, but just know when it's time for you to get an invite. Well, you're not gonna get an invite, but when you see it everywhere that, oh, we doing this and oh, we doing that and all this stuff, I want you to remember your comment in general. Remember your comment. Remember that. Because the man loves me down. He got plenty of reasons why. Plenty of reasons. Plenty of reasons. Plenty of reasons. So, you remember that. You remember that. Man, because I'm loved. My man happy with me. And I'm happy. He glowing and I'm glowing. And you're mad. Oh, God. You got to stop.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Lots to cover, so let's get started. Now, Claressa Shields did an interview with Cam Newton, and I believe it was worse than anything discussed on Young Jock's podcast with Miss Shanika. However, Cam Newton being a man or whatever the case may be, Claressa Shields, I believe, identifies more with masculinity and masculine energy. She had beef and smoke with Miss Shanika, while the more damaging interview was the Cam Newton one. I firmly believe that. Now, Claressa Shields told a lot of lies as far as I'm concerned, right? And I'm going to break down some of the things that don't make sense. Let's go.
It wasn't a happy home to break up.
Right then and there, to me, that shows the ignorance of Claressa Shields, because you were in Remy's DMs. We have proof of that. Goes without saying. You're trusting the word off someone you met after you had already spoken with Remy Ma. She's been with him 20 years. That was her husband. They have a kid together, but you know more about their relationship. You literally just said there wasn't a happy home to break up. So my question is, how does one who is not in the committed relationship know what is going on internally in a house they do not live in? They don't have a mole in. They have no connection to the actual relationship outside of speaking maybe intimately to one of the two people involved in the actual relationship. And Claressa Shields is running around saying it was over, it had been over, and there wasn't a happy home to break up. The arrogance while having naivete on this girl is truly something to behold, right? You claim to know what existed in someone else's marriage, and a smarter woman would look down this path and be like, they've been together 18, 20 years, have a kid together. He's still living with her. Why would I, being the GOAT and two-time gold medalist, why would I want to involve myself in other people's mess, baggage, drama when they haven't divorced and haven't worked it out, right? So keep these things in mind as I take you through it. So again, Claressa Shields says he knocked out allegedly Easy to Block captain, who she's saying Remy was messing with, and I didn't have a happy home to break up. But where Claressa Shields messes up is she talks too much, which I've always said, and she gave dates. So she said, according to her, or what she's been fed from Papoose, pay attention. I'm gonna let you hear it. There was not a happy home to break up. I didn't even know Papoose until 2024. And then she goes on to say that the altercation with Easy the Block Captain happened well before I even knew him in 2021, 2022. Play the clip.
It's a timeline between that stuff. Why you think he knocked Buddy out? That was back in 2021, 2022. I ain't know Pap. I met him 2024, July 6th to be exact. So it wasn't a happy home to break up. What the heck?
Once again, listen to the date.
Why you think he knocked Buddy out? That was back in 2021, 2022. I ain't know Pap.
That was back in 2021, 2022. I ain't know Pap. I met him 2024, July 6th to be exact.
Now we have an established timeline because Blabbermouth. That was in 2021, 2022, the Easy to Block Captain allegedly being knocked out by Papoose. So again, she said, I didn't have a happy home to break up. She's done multiple interviews saying they had been over and been done. That's why he knocked out Easy to Block Captain in 2021 or 2022. There's only one small problem with that. Now we have the dates, 2021, 22. There was no happy home to break up. This is Papoose and his wife, Remy Ma. Guess where they were? At the Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford fight. See what happens when you talk too much? Papoose, again, at the Errol Spence fight with his wife, Remy Ma. You see it on the screen right now, right? She gave the timeline 2021, 2022. He's with his wife. Guess what? I'm a boxing channel, right? So I covered this fight. I remember exactly when it happened. Would you look at that? Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence July 29th, 2023, right? So by your own admission, there was no happy home to break up because allegedly he had altercation with Easy to Block Captain. Allegedly, Remy cheated on Easy to Block Captain. This is a story you've been told, right? And he knocked him out in 2021 or 2022.
That was back in 2021, 2022. I ain't know Pap.
You right. You didn't know Pap. And guess what Pap was doing after that point? Oh, yeah. He was at the fight with his wife, Remy Ma. Looked like he was having a good time to me. So again, now that we have the timelines, you have to ask yourself, why would a gold medalist 2 times over like Claressa Shields, younger than Papoose, she says she got pretty face and amazing body and millions of dollars, future ahead of herself. Why would she want to get involved with a person that was clearly either, even if the Easy to Block Captain stuff was true, I don't know the details there. After that point, which I've already proven, after that point, he was still popping out. The public didn't know of any marital problems. They're sitting ringside, look like either they're trying to work it out or they're still making public appearances. There's Chris Brown, shout out to Breezy, right? They're still out there making public appearances after the so-called, according to you, Easy to Block Captain snafu, after he allegedly knocked him out. She's still popping out with him. This, again, look, he hugged up on her, right? This is July of 2023, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford fight. Papoose posted on social media, I haven't had this much fun in a long time. I bet Crawford would stop Spence in the 9th, and that's exactly what he did, blah, blah, blah. So he said he was having fun with his wife. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a big fan of the sport, blah, blah, blah. He's even tagging all the celebrities, clout chasing like he does, and he included Remy Ma and said it was an epic night. Bear in mind, after this date that Clarissa just gave, they were still doing red carpet appearances together, hand in hand, as a husband and wife married couple, as you see in this picture. So nobody in the world outside of maybe close circle or them knew of any marital problems. It was not public knowledge that Easy to Block Captain or cheating or infidelity. Again, this is them at an event together. So we were still thinking black love. This is the love and hip hop couple that we already knew about, right? Here's another one. Mary J. Blige, Drew Barrymore, Papoose, their daughter, and Remy Ma. What is this action? Oh yeah, this was from March 31st, 2023. So again, everything I've showed you was after the dates that Claressa Shields gave of when Papoose allegedly caught Remy Ma and snuffed out Easy to Block Captain. And yet and still, the public didn't know of any marital problems. It wasn't public knowledge. They're popping up with each other, red carpet events, Errol Spence Crawford fight, Drew Barrymore show. Let me read what Papoose said. Had an amazing time watching my beautiful wife and daughter join the Queen Mary J. Blige on Drew Barrymore's show. Didn't they look phenomenal? Congrats to my sis Mary on a kid's book. The golden child loves it. Hashtag Black Love at Remy Ma, his daughter, head of hip hop. Peace. Again, this was in 2023 after Claressa Shields claims that Remy stepped out with Easy to Block Captain and Pat pulled up and socked him out. So you see, this is where Claressa Shields done messed up. She done met her match with ego, man. She, in an attempt to make herself look like the hero, and I ain't break up a happy home. I'm not a home wrecker. There was no happy home to break up, right? Because before I even met Papoose in 2024, she had been cheating since 2022, and that's why he knocked him out in 2021 or 2022. This is what she's claiming. But guess what? Yet and still, husband Papoose was still popping out with Remy Ma, still saying, my beautiful wife on the Drew Barrymore show, still saying I had a great time at the Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight, sitting ringside. So I don't know what was going on, but it looked to me like at best they are not comfortable with the public knowing the internal drama and or likely trying to work it out, right? They're probably trying to work it out. That's why you don't step in to people's marriage when you don't know the true inner workings and you play your position, because you can end up looking dumb by interfering. So a smarter, more mature woman would have seen this. And here's the thing. Papoose has a tattoo of Remy on his arm. Hasn't covered it up, hasn't gotten rid of it. These posts are on Papoose's social media, right? He hasn't deleted them. He hasn't archived them. So it became very easy for Magnum PI ego, Forensic Files ego, to trace the steps. So if I can do that, surely somebody who's a potential future love interest could have perused through Papoose's social media. Like, okay, Clarissa could have been like, this dude's hollering at me. I'm catching feelings. Things are heating up. Let me do a background check, right? And I've dealt with so many females. I talk to female. I know what they think at this point. Women do the background check, right? Because so many dudes lie. So many dudes are like, I've heard so many women tell me stories about they thought they were seeing someone exclusively and he was secretly married and he was virtually living at their house so they don't see how he had a marriage and he was two-timing and living a double life. And somehow some of these dudes out here just be doing the most, right? So women will be sneaky. Women will run a background check. This is also why I think Claressa Shields has masculine energy, right? Because she doesn't even move like a traditional woman. Most women, especially when you have something to lose, like you're supposed to be the GWOAT and gold medalist and you're supposed to be a celebrity, you have potential endorsement deals. Most people, knowing that Papoose had a high profile relationship, especially love and hip hop, black love, they're going to do their due diligence if things are getting hot and heavy and they're hearing one version of the story and probably snoop through that person's social media, right? Let me see what they're talking about. And had Claressa Shields done this, right, she would have seen like, oh, after the Easy Block situation, allegedly in 21, 22, he's still popping out with her. They're still going to red carpet events. So what made Claressa Shields so sure that it was over? What made her so confident that she could interject herself into the equation without stepping on anybody's toes, right? Plus, you add the fact that she was in Remy's inbox, right? Which also adds another layer of BS that most respectful women that has real good intentions, they're not mean-spirited, evil people, and they're God-fearing and just have integrity, they're going to be like, nah, there's too many red flags, too much going on. You could think somebody's cute, but ain't nobody cute enough to have me crash out my career. Claressa Shields, again, acting like a dude, in my opinion, she was thinking with her pants. She didn't care about none of that. She didn't care about betraying Remy and like, hey, this does look in bad taste, poor taste for me to pop out. And all of a sudden, a girl whose inbox I was asking for fashion tips, now I'm popping out with her husband, and I didn't even tell her, right? So this was bound to fail from the beginning. And the more Claressa Shields attempts to explain, the worse it's going to get for her. I can assure you, because the paper trail's already out there. None of this stuff is making sense that you are saying, and you're saying it to try to alleviate yourself and portray yourself as like, hey, he was single, right? I ain't do nothing wrong. They had been over. That's why she keep bringing up Remy. She was already stepped out on him. Okay, so you think, even if that's true, I don't know who cheated first and all that, but let's hypothetically say Remy stepped out first in the marriage, right? He was still popping out with her. I just showed you that. He was still going to events with her. They still to this day are married. Why would Clarissa be like, two wrongs make a right, and she did it so we could creep too because she did it first? What type of sense does that make? Again, I told you with this whole Clarissa ordeal, I'm going to show the character. This shows me your character, where you think you could be in Remy's DM and then now be with her husband that she's still married to, right? Not run it by her. And because you are fed information or you believe Papoose was cheated on first, get involved yourself and be like, yeah, do it back to her. That shows me your character. So you'll never, ever beat the side chick, mistress, adulteress relationship, breaking up a happy home wrecker allegations. There's no way. You absolutely cannot defeat that because, again, you could have been like, these people are messy. I like you. Clear up your stuff. I don't want nothing to do with you until that's cleared up. That's what a respectable, ethical woman would have done. They would have been like, too much. I got too much to lose. I got a movie coming out. This can't work. And the crazy part is I haven't even got to the fact that Claressa Shields had her own fiance at this point. All of my research indicates she was with Tony Rich for large portions of the beginning of 2024. So far up until this point, I've portrayed it from one side, right? Like just the side of like Clarissa, almost as if she was single, but nothing indicates that she was actually single, right? At all. She was actually engaged to Tony Rich. Now, I already went over this before, so I'm not going to do it in this video, but if y'all want me to do the timeline video, let it be known in the comment section. This is a post from Claressa Shields 2 years ago, right? It says, quote, with fiance Tony Rich hitting the pads. This is on Claressa Shields' own YouTube channel. Closer look reveals, you see at the bottom, the date, May 17th, 2024. So she talks too much. I didn't meet Papoose until July at the Shakur fight, right? May, on your own YouTube, you put up a video and you put the title that he was your fiance. I'm showing it on the screen. Why would you call him your fiance May 17, 2024, and shortly after you allegedly met Papoose and started talking every day? I've already went over this, right? So in your attempt to clear your name that you're not a home wrecker, it looked like you wrecked two homes, right? Your own home with fiance Tony Rich, as you see here, and also you probably became the straw that broke the camel's back in the Remy Ma situation because she grew tired of it and they were already having pressures and problems. And it looked like they were trying to work it out and go into the Spence fight, publicly still remain married. None of this came out. She was on Drink Champs talking about him. Like she didn't say like, oh, I'm going through a divorce or nothing. So your situation likely is the home wrecking situation that deaded not only your relationship, but his relationship. So it's like, what are you talking about? She was like, yeah, all these allegations. You are what they say that you are. And this is where all the interviewers and podcasters are going wrong. No one's asking about the pertinent questions. Tony Rich, how did you go from wearing a ring, bragging about the engagement ring, posting that he was your fiance, going to fights with him, being with him, and him talking about you, and then all of a sudden you give tickets to Papoose and him and have him at your fight after the Shakur fight, but you've been talking to Papoose every day, your own words, right? And again, Cam Newton, he did ask some of the questions, right? But not all of them, right? The missing links are what would solidify this, and she won't be able to answer it, I believe. But he did ask, was he married?
Can I ask a personal question?
Go ahead.
Was he married?
Yeah.
Watch her eyes after she says yeah. You see the shiftiness in her eyes? Look again. You see her eyes? This, to me, shows deception. That if you ask a psychologist signs of body language that someone might be being deceitful or thinking of trying to, because when you're being deceitful and deceptive, you're trying to think of the right way to word it, the perfect way to say it. Like if a person's favorite food is pizza and you go and it's not an intimidating question, right? Everybody loves pizza. Everybody loves to eat. Cool. So if you went on an interview in a podcast, there's no reason for you to scrunch your face up, your eyebrows arch, you look tense. And then they said, hey, what's your favorite food? And you're like, pizza. Yeah, pizza. Right? Why would you say it all shifty and looking all crazy, scrunching your face up like it was a multiple choice answer? This girl lies all the time, in my opinion, and she's not a good liar. If you are not a home wrecker, you did nothing wrong, why look so intense? Why look so tense? Like your body is literally tensing up to an honest question. Was he married? You'd be like, yeah, we didn't do nothing wrong. He's married. But because I believe she's being deceptive, that's why you're seeing the shiftiness in the eye. Look it up. So I don't like the behavior. I think you look far too tense. If you aren't searching for the perfect thing to say, usually there's no reason to be tense. Like if you ask Clarissa what her favorite dessert is or her favorite TV show or favorite rappers, there's no reason to frown your eyebrows and scowl your face and look shifty-eyed and drink water right then and there. She's like grabbing the chair. All this body language to me doesn't look good. That's my personal take.
He spoke to me. He shook my hand, said, hey, I'm Papoose. And I said, Hey, nice to meet you. I didn't know who he was. I don't even think I knew he was a rapper.
Now, this is the part that throws me. Clarissa just told you that when she met him at the Shakur fight, July of 2024, I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know he was a rapper. I have a hard time believing that. Here's why. Now, if you made it this far, consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to support, shout out to everybody who is hit the like, share the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Donation links are below because this is a deep dive down the rabbit hole. And what I'm about to show you, it took some digging. I had to do the Magnum PI thing, the ego forensic files thing. And just know, after I show you guys some of this stuff, there's going to be a lot of content creators with their low quality audio, low budget videos trying to steal and copy the sauce and what we're doing over here. So make sure you guys hit the like button if you're enjoying any of my content and gain any value from my content. So right here, these are various pictures of Claressa Shields and now ex fiance Tony Rich in 2024. And some of them were at the beginning of the year, but stay tuned. It goes all the way till much later, right? Keep in mind, Claressa Shields said she met Papoose at the Shakur fight the first week of July, right after the 4th of July the same year. So look, early in the year, Claressa Shields chilling with her ex-fiance, right? You guys are seeing it on the screen. I'll drop that down. Everything, to me, appears to be doing just fine, right? They went out wine tasting. So date night, this is around February of 2024, right? She's dressed up. He gave her a ring. Now, right here, you'll see in the background, it says the Barclays Center, all right? This is at the Ryan Garcia-Devin Haney fight, which was in April. I want you guys to see that, right? So you went as a couple in April 20th to the Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia fight at the Barclay, right? Everything seems to be doing just fine, right? Engage. Now, what is this? Now we're getting somewhere. Now it's getting interesting. Right now, I'm clear in May of that same year, 2024. Who is that? None other than Terrence Bud Crawford, Claressa Shields, and the fiance, Tony Rich. And I've already done some of this timeline. So if you guys remember my other work, Claressa Shields, for the fight week, was with Tony Rich doing interviews, and she was wearing the ring. Let's keep it going. Now, what does this say? Tony Rich, July 22nd. Mind you, she said she met Papoose, didn't know him from a can of paint prior to the Shakur fight. Didn't even know he was a rapper, right? Her fiance said after that date, July 22nd, we have 26 more of the 55 seats available in a bus from Detroit to Flint. Reserve your spot. So he's pushing for and advertising the upcoming Claressa Shields fight. Now, what else is important about this fight is the mere fact that Claressa Shields already told everybody, now that she's with Papoose, and I guess the Tony Rich dude is a thing of the past, Claressa Shields revealed in an interview that she met Papoose July 6th at the Shakur fight. I'm just going off what she said. The next day said it was nice meeting you, which I do have proof of that. Papoose showed it on the Vlad interview. That's the date they're claiming that they met. But if you recall, Claressa Shields was on Tamron Hall, and she's done other interviews saying that he was in the DM. So it's all confusing as to who slid in the DM first. But on the Vlad TV interview, Papoose showed a receipt, and Clarissa DM'd him saying, hey, it was great meeting you last night. Then on the Tamron Hall interview, Claressa Shields with Papoose revealed that the host actually revealed it, but Clarissa confirmed it, that she gave Papoose tickets to her fight. So you can already see it's looking a little fuzzy for the timeline. If you have had a fiance that you've been with or on and off with for several years, you're currently rocking the ring on your finger, right? I just showed you pictures of them, date nights and stuff, going to fights like Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Canelo Munguia, meeting up with Crawford and then taking pictures, wearing the ring, the engagement ring, right? He's advertising for Claressa Shields. Hey, we got a bus from Detroit. So he's promoting your fight, basically. Tony Rich, the fiance. But at this point where he's promoting your fight, you have already met Papoose at the Shakur fight in Newark and given him VIP tickets for this upcoming fight later on in the month, July 23rd, I believe it was, against Vanessa. So you can already see how this is looking shifty. Not to mention, I told you this is what happens when you talk too much, right? Clarissa already said it was love at first sight. He's a good-looking man. You would have to be a fool not to say that. This is what she said, right? She was like, yeah, he's a good-looking man, da-da-da-da. And she did interviews saying after the Shakur fight, we remain talking on the phone every single night. She said this multiple times. So she's like, I didn't wreck no home and da-da-da-da. Not only did you wreck Papoose and Remy's situation and bring finality to that, you wrecked your own situation, because why do you have a man, Tony Rich, going to your fight, helping you train, advocate for your fight, right? You're looking at the dates. But meanwhile, you're having phone calls with Papoose, your own words. You're giving another man who you admitted you thought was cute tickets to your upcoming fight. Wow. Look, he said it's about to be fire. This is all Tony Rich, right? Still promoting Clarissa, her walkout with Dej Loaf, da-da-da-da, right? Here's another one from May showing that everything was cool. And he says, the man says, date day was fun with my man, Tony Rich. So this is Claressa Shields saying this. You see in the hashtag, it says hashtag relationship, hashtag fiance. So this is why she's experiencing what she's experiencing. May 31st, he was your fiance. You're putting hashtag fiance, my man, and all this type of stuff, right? And I got several more, right? Tony Rich said, hold on, da-da-da-da, in June. So the whole time, Tony Rich is clearly in the picture. What is this? Oh, yeah, Lloyd from Murder, Inc. Coming from the South Side, right? He says, what does that say? July 9th, 2024, the year in question. August 3rd, King, about to be a movie. My boy Lloyd is rocking out, and we are celebrating my fiance's victory. So he's making plans not only for your upcoming fight that you've invited Papoose to, but even more future plans, booked Lloyd the singer for an after party. So where does this stuff come into play where Papoose overtakes his spot? What man knows his girl has broken up with him, knows his girl has moved on to another man, and then is posting stuff like this? Hey, man, we got Lloyd coming in the after party. Let's keep it going. A picture of him in the gym with her. July, or it says July 27 is going down. Tunnel vision. Faith without work is dead. Let's go, champ. Tag Claressa Shields on June 23rd. So I'm showing you all throughout the year. It says, let's go, baby. Wartime. These moments are precious. Quote, Tony Rich, right? So this whole duration, he's working towards something. And here's after you beat Vanessa. Tony Rich is with Claressa Shields. You know how you can tag people. What a wonderful feeling. Congratulations, bae. What a way to put on a show. Mind you, Papoose was at the show because he got the free tickets, remember? From the Shakur fight. And then Clarissa being in his DM. And Tony Rich was at the fight. And I've already confirmed this, right? And he's like, yeah, you made history shutting the hater's mouth, right? Let's keep it going. July 23rd. Yeah, not too much on me, quote, fight week. So he was all about the fight week. Should I do a $10 raffle for floor seats to the fight? So he had access to tickets and bus situations for the fight that Papoose and him were at, that she gave tickets to Papoose for. So this sounds very weird. Look, here's this Cash App. He says he's raffling off floor seats. So you gave your fiance access to floor seats and tickets to the point where he was raffling them off and promoting your fight. This says not being loved by someone you love the heck out of feels the worst. And he retweeted that in July also. And what is this? Finally, I have it down to August 21st, right? And he has heart eyes. It says, love you, Claressa Shields. And this is her after winning and stopping Vanessa, the fight that Papoose and this dude were both at. How messy? How messy is it gonna get, huh, Rissa? How messy you gonna make this, huh, Rissa? So the man in August is saying he loves you, but there's one problem with that. I don't think y'all remember like I remember. I don't think you do at all. What is the problem with her winning her fight in July, doing some kind of celebration with Lloyd, doing another celebration where she's posting in that yellow dress, holding her belts in August? Maybe I should jog your memory. Pay attention to what Claressa Shields had to say.
Honest, but I chose him, he chose me, and we're together. It's just that they were like this whole black love thing, and I think that's where like the fans are kind of stuck at, like, oh, this was our black love, this, and that's what they were used to, I guess. And then I came into the equation, and me and him got together, and just to be honest, we weren't supposed to be public.
Just to be honest, we weren't supposed to be public. How come, Clarissa? How come you weren't supposed? So you weren't doing anything wrong. He wasn't doing anything wrong. Why weren't you supposed to be public? Why did it take for Remy Ma to catch him up on the phone with you and leak all of it publicly for you guys to come out as a actual couple?
We was not supposed to be public.
See the stuttering?
She did that. Remy did that. You know, and I don't even like saying her name because it's more of a thing of like, I ain't got no smoke with you. You know what I'm saying? Unless you won't smoke with me. But I don't got no smoke with you. But she the one who put out text messages and put my number out on her page that got 10 million followers. She did that. Putting everybody in our business, letting them know that me and Pap was together. We were a private relationship since around like August.
What did she just say? Oh, whoa, yo, hold up. Not me, not Marsha. What did that girl just say? Listen again.
In our business, letting them know that me and Pap was together. We were a private relationship since around like August, around that time.
Around August, we were a private couple. See what happens when you talk too much? Huh, Rissa? We were a private couple since around August. Yeah, around that time. Notice how the story doesn't sound clear, right? We were a couple since around August. So my question again, I told you to remember that date, is how come this man, Tony Rich, on August 21st is saying that I love you, Claressa Shields, after your fight, after you've already been introduced to Papoose and reportedly your own words talking every night? Why is he saying I love you on August 21st, 2024? Again, I believe the timelines overlap. Clarissa is like, you YouTubers keep lying on me. Now explain yourself. Right? And I can go deeper. The ladies love when ego go deeper. So it's not making sense. You said we were a private couple, got exposed by Remy Ma. We were content being a private couple until Remy Ma in December, right before your movie, The Liar Inside, I mean, The Fire Inside was to come out. You then said on a podcast that you guys had been a couple since August. Yeah, around that time. So how are you a couple with this married man, Papoose, but then your fiance, who you were going to marry, is talking about that? I love you. And I've already showed you throughout the year, he was calling you baby and rooting you on and cheering you on. You invited him, Tony Rich, the fiance, Papoose. They were both at your fight after the Shakur fight, your fight in Detroit. This girl is messy. And the more she tries to explain it, the worse it's going to get. Because you're not being truthful. Too many loopholes. You think we stupid.
And put my number out on her page that got 10 million followers. She did that. Putting everybody in our business, letting them know that me and Pap was together. We were a private relationship since around like August, around that time. And I didn't want to be public with another relationship.
How come? You didn't want to be public with another relationship because he had his own stuff going on, living with Remy, sleeping on the couch, married still to this day, and you had a whole fiance. Makes a lot of sense to me. Notice how she keeps saying, oh, we were a private couple. We enjoyed being a private. I'm sure two people creeping definitely enjoy their privacy.
Until I knew it was marriage and it was kids.
Yeah.
And
you wanted to be private until you knew it was marriage and kids. You still don't have either of those things, and you're not private because of Remy Ma. So it still don't make sense.
that's being honest. So once all that came out, he was like, well, God damn. just gonna blow up my damn spot.
You gonna blow up my spot. Who that is not doing dirt considers their relationship coming out publicly, man, oh dang, you just gonna blow up my spot? Who acts like that? If two people aren't doing anything wrong.
And like the thing was, we were exclusive, but it was like when it comes to celebrity relationships, one minute they together, one minute they not. So it was like I wanted to be with him privately, and then we broke up. We break up privately. I don't want people to be like, oh shit.
Right.
So when that happened, I was like, God damn, this lady is
All up in your sauce.
man. I'm like, why you did that? But and then
Why you did that? Why would you feel any type of way? You said him and Remy had been broken up. Him and Remy were free to do whatever they want. How come he had to sneak, it sounds like, on the phone with you? How come Remy seemed surprised when she leaked it to the public and she was roasting you? How come you were friends with Remy first and you didn't tell her, like, hey, you know that guy you're married to still? I heard y'all having problems. Me and him kind of have a thing. I just want your blessing. You didn't do that because you know what you were doing.
Like I said, I don't understand it because I know for a fact that they weren't like together.
Yeah.
This girl's hopeless. She knew for a fact that they weren't together. How? You don't live in a household. You're being told whatever he's telling you. So how do you know for a fact that you weren't, like, the women like this are very, very slow, in my opinion, because I could tell a woman anything. I could be married and say, "Oh man, my wife tripping. My wife died in a car accident." How do you know any of these things are true without like a death certificate or proof that I'm not married? He still can't provide you proof that he's not married because he still is married. So please explain how you know from outside of the household that he for sure wasn't with her and he wasn't just telling you a story, right? Also, you keep trying to bring up Remy like, oh man, Remy did it first and she was with Easy the Block Captain and yada, yada, yada. And that happened in 2021, 2022. That's why he knocked him out. This is what you're claiming. So if that happened in 2021, 2022, why did it take until 2024, December, for Remy to expose you and he was still living on her couch? What man has money? You said, oh, he's the wealthiest guy I've ever been with. So if that's the case, if you caught your girl cheating and you're like, oh, he wants a divorce because of me, he filed for a divorce because of me. If these things are true, then why did it take him so long to file for a divorce if he found out in 2021 or 2022 that she was creeping on him and he was over it? You're like, he filed for a divorce. This is what Clarissa is trying to convince us. He filed for a divorce because of me. He did it. So why did it take for Remy busting him out, saying, I got your clothes. Look, they're all packaged up. He's creeping with Clarissa. Why did it take for that for him to initiate an e-filing for a divorce? So when you met at the Shakur fight, why didn't he be like, man, star-crossed lovers, this is the one for me. Me and Remy are over. Let me go down to the court, get this divorce started because you guys were a private couple. This girl is something else, man. You guys got to pay attention. The rabbit hole is about to get a whole lot deeper. So in the brand new interview with Cam Newton, this is what Clarissa had to say.
What was your non-negotiable with Pat going into this relationship?
I know the little living situation. We on the phone all day, and we go to sleep tonight we go to sleep on the phone every night. That's my non-negotiable. Did that for 6 months. 6 months straight. And then that's when the infamous phone call and all that stuff happened. But other than that, he's never given me no reason to not trust him.
Slow Rissa. So let me recap what you just said. Cam said, what are your non-negotiables in that relationship? She said, yeah, I know the little living situation, right? You see how she's trying to minimize it. He was sleeping in her house on the couch, still married, right? Oh, yeah, the little living situation, but I already knew about that. But anyway, we had a deal that he stay on the phone with me every night and we talk all day and continue to talk nonstop. And we did that for 6 months. Listen.
What was your non-negotiable with Pat going into this relationship?
I know the little living situation. We on the phone all day, and we go to sleep tonight we go to sleep on the phone every night. That's my non-negotiable. Did that for 6 months. 6 months straight. And then that's when the infamous phone call and...
So she's saying that they basically were courting each other, dating each other for 6 months until Remy exposed them in December. Now, there's a big problem with that. On the other clip I just played for you, she said we started dating in August, somewhere around there. You heard it. If you didn't, rewind this tape, right? You said in August. Remy exposed you in December 2024. So how did you start dating in August? If you courted each other for 6 months, your own words, right? 6 months from when you were exposed in December. What is 6 months before December 2024? I put it on the screen for you guys, right? 6 months before December 2024, that means June 2024. Right? That would be 6 months. You got exposed in December 2024. 6 months before that means June 2024. But wait. You said you didn't know who this man was until the Shakur Stevenson fight. On July 6th, that's when Shakur Stevenson fought. I don't know, huh, Rissa? I'm getting a little bit confused. So many dates. They're not at, you tell one podcast it's August 2024, you start dating, somewhere around that. Then you tell Cam Newton, right, that your non-negotiable was 6 months in the making. We're on the phone every day, even though you're living in Remy's house. Kind of weird, right? 6 months would be June 2024. You said you didn't meet till July.
July 6th, 2024. Shakur Stevenson fighting against, I forget this opponent name, but that's the fight it was, July 6th. And then 2 weeks later, I fought for the heavyweight world championship.
So you was in camp?
Yes.
So she just confirmed the date. This is what happens when you talk too much, people.
I met him 2024.
I met him 2024. Right? So they keep talking about this date, the Shakur, that's like the timestamp that they're going with, but it doesn't add up. There's too many contradictions.
July 6th, 2024. Shakur Stevenson fighting against.
Really? Where was the origin? Like, take.
Oh, a boxing match.
Really?
July 6th, 2024. Oh, a boxing match.
Really?
July 6th, 2024. Oh, a boxing match.
Really?
July 6th, 2024. Shakur Stevenson fighting against, I forget this opponent.
And then here's the other thing. How would July 6th, 2024, how is that the origin of you and Papoose if you claimed that was the first day you had ever met him, didn't know he was a rapper, never talked to him before, wasn't interested in him before? Oh, man. Oh, it's super ugly, bro. These people, there has to be something wrong. There has to be something wrong. Papoose also put Tony, it's our anniversary at the Shakur fight. Again, how can that be your anniversary? How can that be 6 months when you got outed in December 2024? Back it up 6 months. That's June. You claim you didn't know him until July. And then you're tallying, oh, the origin, you just told Cam Newton, the origin of y'all being together was the first time you met. And then you're like, I don't even know who this guy is. I didn't know he was a rapper. I didn't know nothing. Bro, this girl is something else. This girl's something else, bro. And it's funny when people try to defend, and I'm going to cook them every time. Every time. Listen.
Usually I don't go to fights when I'm in camp. But that fight there, I met Pap. He spoke to me. He shook my hand, said, "Hey, I'm Papoose." And I said, "Hey, nice to meet you." I didn't know who he was. I don't even think I knew he was a rapper. I didn't know him. But after that night, when I'm always commentating and yelling throughout Shakur fight. You probably heard me on the camera many of his fights. And while I was yelling and talking to Shakur inside the ring, Pap was probably like a little bit diagonal, probably a row in front of me. He was cracking up. And he kept talking to me. And then at the end, I do interviews with everybody. And I was by myself. Like you said, you like going by yourself? I'm by myself, no security, jury, everything.
Yeah, but you trying to brag, oh, no security, but then you had security at your great granny's funeral. But anyway, I don't want you guys to get distracted by that. Anyway, how is the first time you meet the anniversary? How is the first time you meet considered the origin of you guys being together? How is it 6 months if 6 months from the moment you were exposed by Remy, 6 months backed up is June, which would be before? None of this story is making sense. Here's something else that don't make sense. This is from the Shakur fight in Newark, where you allegedly didn't know he was a rapper, right? And the first thing I noticed is Claressa Shields did the photo op with him. She's wearing her fiance's engagement ring. What a concept. Rissa. That's how we doing there, Rissa. So you met him. You were wearing Tony Rich's engagement ring. What are we talking about, bro? So how can that be your anniversary, right? Claressa Shields engagement ring, right? Boom. Yeah. That's Tony Rich's engagement ring. Yeah. So the infamous picture where you met him, you're rocking Tony Rich's wedding ring, his engagement ring. And you've already been on record saying you stayed on the phone with Papoose every day since you guys met. This story, if you were a cop and someone fed you this story, would you believe them? Honestly. If you're a cop and you're trying to find somebody's whereabouts and their story was all over the place, riddled with inconsistencies, would you be like, oh, I got to exclude them as a suspect, even though their story doesn't check out? Even though it don't check out. Right? She talks too much. You said you talked to him every day in the previous interview. So that means I'm showing you wearing your engagement ring. I showed you in a picture taken by Tony Rich in August, late August, where he's like my baby in heart eyes and stuff. So that means you were talking, per my research, that means you were talking to Papoose on the low. That's why maybe you wanted to be a private couple or whatever. You were talking to him while you were wearing somebody else's engagement ring. Listen.
Me and him haven't missed a day of talking to each other since we met July 6, 2024 at Shakur fight. Of talking to each other since we met July 6. Me and him haven't missed a day of talking. me and him haven't missed a day of talking to each other since we met July 6, 2024. Haven't missed a day of talking to each other since we met July 6, 2024. Haven't missed a day of talking to each other since we met July 6, 2024 at Shakur fight. So when we met up in what was in Newark, New Jersey at the fights, we haven't not talked to each other since then. So we talk to each other every single day. He's flying out here tomorrow.
So again, she's trying to brag. She's trying to make it look like people are bullying her and they have it all wrong. How could I be a side chick? How could I be a side piece? How could I be a mistress? How could I be a home wrecker? You're a double home wrecker because you wrecked your own home on top of probably being the straw that broke the camel's back in Papoose's situation with Remy Ma. Literally, that is you July 6th at Shakur's fight in a now viral picture, and you are wearing a engagement ring to another man. That is a fact. I just showed you that. Then I showed a previous interview where you've already admitted that after this picture was taken, you talk to him every single day. This cannot be refuted. What are we doing here? These people think they can outsmart the public who are much more intelligent. Papoose was on Vlad TV. Listen.
Emojis?
No.
I don't know.
No.
What?
On the DM, because all of this stuff is documented on social media. So when things are documented, what do they have? The time.
Timestamps.
Timestamp in the day.
Right.
So when me and Clarissa met July 2024, you know, unfortunately, you know, like I said, nothing bad to say about her. You know what I mean? I wish her the best. But there are people on social media who push these false narratives about, oh, they've been together and this and that. There's a timestamp, guys, and it's dated and documented of when we first met. We just don't care enough to post it. You know?
So again, they keep running with this July 6, 2024 business, right? She says she didn't know him from a can of paint, right? And then he tried to give Vlad TV the proof. Look, July 7th, you see? You see? We had a conversation on July, so, you know, I gotta be innocent. As if people don't have multiple phones, burner accounts, and other ways to communicate. Like, oh, hit me on WhatsApp. Come on, bro. Is this what we doing? Like, first of all, if people are married or creeping, they're not going to try to make it easy for their significant other to jam them up. You dig? So they're going to communicate on WhatsApp, or I'll meet you at the park. You drive your car, I'll drive my car. Come on, bro. Like, these people are getting embarrassing now, right? So anyway, he posted this on Vlad, and it said, "Good morning, Papoose. It was nice meeting you. Peace, champ. It was great meeting you. It never affected her. It never affected her." And that, I guess, to them, that's supposed to be proof enough. See? Just got to be the day that we met. Only one small problem. Remember when I just told you this is what happens when you talk too much, right? He's like, look, July 7th. And it's the picture. Remember, she said she didn't know who he was, right? And you look above it. This is what happens when you overshare, y'all. You look above it. It says October 15th, 2022. You, being Papoose, mentioned Claressa Shields in your story. Right? Follow me. We're going to go deeper down the rabbit hole, and I won't steer you wrong. So in your effort to vindicate yourself, which it really doesn't, you overshared this and you gave the ammunition, right? And it got hearts behind it, FYI. And it says October 15th, 2022, right? Papoose goes on to say that he showed love to all fighters. He's a boxing fan. And he decided to, after her fight, it was the Savannah Marshall fight, right? He showed her love, but he didn't know her. Pay attention. Play the clip.
Claressa Shields. Because I was actually a fan of her, you know, long before we met. When she won one of her fights, which I always do on social media, I put up a video of it.
You see how he has to like over-explain, right?
I was actually a fan of her.
He has to over-explain, just like Clarissa.
Which I always do on social media. I put up a video of it on my story. So that also has what on it? It also dates, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know her. I did that as a fan. So long story short, I'm walking to my seat.
So, okay. He's saying what I just showed you, that story from 2022, I didn't know her. And I did it purely for the love of the game after she beat Savannah Marshall. Because, again, if you look at the dates, that's the date Claressa Shields was in the UK fighting Savannah Marshall. So Papoose's story, I guess it checks out, 2022, he is just a diehard boxing fan. Claressa Shields beat a girl that beat her in the amateur, Savannah Marshall, and he was just showing love. That's why if you look at the DM, it show another date before the Shakur fight, right? Wrong again. Here's why. Pay attention.
Who was the first person to move that from that friendship to like something more?
No, it was Pap for sure.
You hear it? Now you already got problems, right? Who's the person to move it to something more? You see how she paused? It was Pat for sure. But Clarissa's the one that initiated contact according to the shared DM from Papoose, right? Let's keep going.
It's Pap for sure. So we met July 6th at Shakur fight.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Newark, New Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I met him at. And when we took our first picture, it started going. I seen the blogs then talking about some that we were potentially, I was his girlfriend. I was like, well, I don't even know this dude.
Again, so she's going with the same story. I don't even know this dude. We just met.
Yeah.
They kind of willed it
Pat
into
made that
existence.
But pay attention to this. Pay attention. I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna steer you wrong.
Well, I had invited him to come to my fight July 27th. He was already a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it? Don't miss it now.
He was already a fan.
Mm-hmm.
He has a video where he had watched me beat Savannah Marshall and he was cheering for me and stuff like that. And we just kind of just like started off as like, friends talking and everything like that. And I don't know. I think I don't know. You know how it be. You just be like testing it out. And I was like, I
Throw
think
a little something. Let's see if she.
I think some of y'all missed it. It was that right there.
Savannah Marshall and he was cheering.
Made that
existence.
Well, I had invited him to come to my fight July 27th. He was already a fan.
Mm-hmm.
He has a video where he had watched me beat Savannah Marshall and he was cheering for me and stuff like that.
Papoose was already a fan of mine, right? He had posted a video on his page after I beat Savannah Marshall, which explains that October 15th, right? You guys got to pay attention, man. So that part checks out. October 15th, 2022. And then if you look at who did Claressa Shields fight, October 2022, right? Box rec, I already know what it is, but I'll just show you guys. Savannah Marshall, look, so October 15th. So that part checks out, right? Let me back out of that. Bow, bow. Boom. So she fought O2 Arena in the UK, beat Savannah Marshall, right? So that part checks out. October 15th, that angle of it checks out. Maybe he was just doing that as a fan of you, and he's like, I just like the way she fights. Cool. I don't have a problem with that so much, right? But where she slipped up is she said, and I'm going to play it again. She said, Pap has a video because he's always been a fan of mine, right? He's been a fan of me, so he has a video after I beat Savannah Marshall. So how she slipped up there is that indicates you seen his story, right? So I'm showing you everything adds up. He showed proof, like his version of proof, that you guys met, which doesn't really prove anything, but whatever. But in doing so, he accidentally leaked this prior DM mention after the Savannah Marshall fight, showing he was paying attention to you as a boxer because he likes boxing. You confirm the receipt because you just told us Pap sent me a video in the past. He's been a fan of mine. Look again. Play the clip.
Like 2017, he was already a fan. He had he has a video where he had watched me beat Savannah Marshall and he was cheering for me and stuff like that.
Okay, now let me put it all together for you because I still see some people aren't with it. So you confirm the receipt. This is what happens when you deal with ego and understand the intelligence that ego has, and then you try to play these games, and then I put it all together and sauce you up, right? So from the top, Papoose tried to prove he met you at the Shakur fight. Talk too much. In doing that, he showed that he had previously reached out to you in the DM. That is a known fact, right? And it was after the Savannah Marshall fight. I showed it multiple times. In slipping up and leaking that out, you did an interview, which I just showed, and you said he posted a video of me after the Savannah Marshall fight. He's been a fan. You talk too much. Let me tie it all together for you.
Usually I don't go to fights when I'm in camp. But that fight there, I met Pap. He spoke to me. He shook my hand, said, "Hey, I'm Papoose." And I said, "Hey, nice to meet you." I didn't know who he was. I don't even think I knew he was a rapper.
Oh, man. Clarissa. That's where you messed up. Boom. You never know. Boom. That's where you messed up. It took a lot of time, but we made it here. That's where you messed up. You guys are trying to be so slippery, you're not covering your tracks. You're oversharing. Papoose overshared with Vlad, proving that he had reached out and mentioned you in a story on October 15th, 2022. Done. We got that. You confirmed the receipt on a podcast with Angela Yee after the fact. Oh man, Pap, he's been a fan of me. After I beat Savannah Marshall, he posted a video. You just confirmed the receipt. So now in your brand new interview with Cam Newton from a day ago, you literally just said when you met him in 2024, you didn't know who he was. You had no idea who he was, didn't even know he was a rapper.
Nice to meet you. I didn't know who he was. I don't even think I knew he was a rapper.
The lies you tell. You didn't know who he was, but you just confirmed that you had gotten his mention. And as much as she's on social media, right, I have a hard time believing you didn't know who he was. Now is it starting to make sense to you? Right? And that's just one angle. He celebrated your Savannah Marshall win. You confirmed the receipt that you seen it. And you just, I don't know who this is, and da-da-da-da. But you paid attention enough to know he did it. So it's not making sense you didn't know him. You had no idea. You're like, oh, man, I was a Tupac fan. I like Meek Mill. I didn't know who this guy was. This is what you're saying in these interviews. I didn't know who he was. I don't know. I like other people. I look like Ace Hood, so I like Ace Hood. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you're trying to really do? You confirm you seen that he sent you the video and he was a fan of you. So how did you know that without seeing the video? You just confirmed the receipt, right? And if that's the case, then I know there's no way you didn't know who he was, that he was a rapper, right? Beyond that, he was at the Errol Spence Jr. fight with his wife. Huh? Is that Chris Brown? Take it down. In the words of Chris Brown, these walls ain't loyal. Winner in want you back. And Clarissa can't do nothing for, and Papoose can't do nothing for you. Bro, is that Chris Brown? Is that Remy Ma? Is that Papoose all at the same fight in Las Vegas? The Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight? Oh, man. Oh, it's looking shaky out here. So here's another angle. You didn't know who Papoose was, but you claim you watch Love and Hip Hop. His wife was ringside. Celebrity Row at the same fight that you attended. Right? Papoose is talking about fight night in Vegas. Congratulations to my brother, Terrence Crawford. Wow, peace to my wife and Chris Brown. And like, you didn't know he was a rapper. You didn't know who he was. You're like, oh, who's this? At the Shakur fight a year later. Because look, this happened July 29th, 2023. So a whole year later, you didn't see none of this. But you already admit that in 2022, you seen that he mentioned you in the story. By that point, you had already been in Remy's DMs. Is this Claressa Shields?
Y'all, I'm with my pound for pound #1.
This is Claressa Shields at the Errol Spence fight after Bud Crawford beat him and became undisputed at welterweight.
Get it.
Two-time undisputed champ.
Two times. 1 2 time, 2 times.
My God, crazy. Great job. Y'all, I'm with my pound for pound #1.
So Claressa Shields is at the same exact fight that Remy Ma and Papoose were at. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Ain't that funny how it all worked full circle? See Papoose with his wife? Right? And remember, it's all comes together because keep in mind, she was like, I ain't break up with no happy home. See, Chris Brown, I just showed you that picture. Papoose, right? She was like, there was no happy home to break up. Remember, Clarissa said that. There wasn't no happy home for me to break up. They had been done. But this is in July of 2023. That's Remy. And who's right behind her on her shoulder? Papoose. At the same fight that Claressa Shields was at. So again, publicly, they hadn't deaded anything or divorced, and they were still pulling out to the scene in public. And Clarissa got involved in this mess, and now she's trying to play victim like, oh, why are you guys saying this about me? Say something to Remy. She did it. So now is that what it is? It's like, oh, I claiming she did it first, so it's okay for me to do it. But you were in a situation, his situation was at best wasn't over or is incomplete, and you jumped in the mix. That's why you don't do this. Now, the other thing, going deeper down this rabbit hole, my investigative skills and research is next level, right? So I've already showed you how Claressa Shields and Tony Rich went to the Errol Spence fight with Terrence Crawford. Also in attendance, I showed you Remy Ma and her husband, Papoose, were there. They even did the Chris Brown picture, right? That particular fight took place July 29th, 2023, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. You see the flyer, right? So Clarissa was there, Remy Ma was there, and Papoose was there, right? July 29th, 2023, T-Mobile Arena. Now, what was very interesting to me in my research, and take what you want from this, is this. Remember when Remy Ma leaked the text messages from Claressa Shields, right? That's what you're seeing on the screen. Look at this. Mind you, Clarissa's like, oh, these YouTubers be lying. Right here in February, she said, thank you, Remy. But July 31st, she said, are you still in Vegas, Remy? That's Claressa Shields. asking if Remy is still in Vegas. Remy says, nah, I had to leave early. Sunday, mad I missed you. And Clarissa said, dang. And then there was no more correspondence until January. And she said, Happy New Year. Wow. Now, some people don't get it, which is why I get paid the big bucks. Right? July 31st, 2023. Why is that important? Because Clarissa is saying, you still in Vegas, Remy? To which Remy said, nah, I had to leave early. Right? That was right after the Errol Spence and Crawford fight. See that? July 29th, 2023. T-Mobile Arena. So I don't know if Papoose stayed behind in Vegas, but that is confirmed that Pap was there for the fight. Remy was there for the fight. Clarissa was there for the fight. It is confirmed from the leaked text messages that Clarissa reached out that fight weekend, right? Asking if Remy was still in town in Las Vegas. I just showed you. Right? So July 29th, 2023. July. Let's go back and look at it. You still here? July 31st. So the fight is obviously on a Saturday, right? Boxing happens on a Saturday. And then Clarissa's asking a couple of days later, hey, you still in town on the 31st? Because maybe she was still in town and it was trying to link up, I guess. So that's Monday, right? Monday. Fight was on Saturday night, Sunday, and then it looked like Clarissa probably was in. So either way, you could take what you want from that. That's my research. I don't know what happened in Vegas. You know, they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I don't know if anything happened there or whatever. But still, I have a hard time believing that you didn't know who this man was. When at the very least, it sounded like you were trying to link up with his wife in a DM. Hey, Remy, you still in town? Or maybe you were trying to see if she was there in town, if Papoose stayed behind. I don't know. But back to my original argument, I doubt you didn't know who he was. You claim to watch Love and Hip Hop. He posted a story after you beat Savannah Marshall, which you confirmed the receipt. Y'all both was at the Errol Spence fight with Terrence Crawford, right? And then I just showed you days after the Errol Spence fight, you're like, hey, Remy, are you still in Vegas? And she's like, nah, I had to leave. So this is why I don't believe what these people are telling me. I don't believe it at all. Too many inconsistencies. The story don't make. And oftentimes, from my experience, when people are being deceptive, they often over dramatize and overdo it. Like even with eye contact, right? When people are lying and being deceptive, maybe they're trying to give you too much. They're trying to like hawk you down and look and laser focus, no blinking or nothing. Because they're trying so hard that it's almost unnatural. You're trying so hard not to look shook, look like you're lying to the point where you're tense and you won't blink your eyes, which is not natural. A normal conversation, if you just like at lunch with your girl or something, you're going to look here, look them in the eye. You're not afraid to make eye contact, blink regularly. You're not going to have your eyes peeled. Your eyes just remain open without blinking. You know what I mean? So the body language, the storylines, the inconsistency, the fact that they keep saying the Shakur fight, July 6th, even that don't make sense. If you met for the first time and didn't know who he was, didn't know he was rapping, then how's that your anniversary? Which is what he put, Tony anniversary. If you met for the first time, you didn't have no correspondence, right? Then why are you saying you talked 6 months and you got exposed in December? None of this stuff makes sense. And just because I don't believe I showed it, I want to cover my tracks for this video. Again, if you guys gain any value from these deep dives and research, definitely show your love in the various ways, whatever you feel is necessary. My link me has all my links, right, to support and follow. But Remy Ma and Papoose accuse each other of cheating in Messy Exchange. Just want to give you guys the date for that. That, when they got outed, was December 12th, 2024, or somewhere around, maybe it was a day or a couple days before that. So bottom line, pretty much the first week of December, right around there, this stuff all came out. Remy started leaking text messages. It got messy, right? So Clarissa, if you listen again, she said, my non-negotiables, she told Cam Newton, my non-negotiables were that we talked on the phone every day and all that, blah, blah, blah. And we did that for 6 months, right? So you got leaked in December 2024. So 6 months backtracked, that's June. So that's before your alleged meetup, first time you didn't know who he was and all that at the Shakur fight in July 6th. None of this makes sense. You see what I'm saying? So these people can continue to do this, but the more they do it, the more people are going to find more and more evidence, and it's just going to be bad. You know, and also Claressa Shields targets black women. Let's get on that. Miss Shanika asked a question, how long are you prepared to be with somebody else's husband? Claressa Shields got mad, got tense, da-da-da-da. Then I think when she seen the comments, she got even more mad. It started to fester. Then it exploded to the point where she started calling her out her name, the B word, calling her Miss Piggy, body shaming her, da-da-da-da. Then trying to leak her information similar to what she did with Alicia Baumgardner, try to spread a rumored body count from Baumgardner. Same antic. Shanika said that Clarissa also threatened her and banned her from the State Farm Arena, all types of stuff, right? All types of stuff. All this over a question to a black woman that you didn't like. Another light-skinned, fair, light-skinned black woman. But Ariel Hawani had you looking dumb with the Remy Ma. Oh, you like Remy Ma's music? Cam Newton, you look dumb the whole interview, but you didn't go in on them, right? But Miss Shanika, particularly being a black woman, and then you're like, you cheated. Are you the CEO or the leader of the committee of the cheaters, right? You try to put her on Front Street because you didn't like the perception her question created for you, right? And you started saying she was a cheater and she cheated with a barber. But I already went over your stuff. You see how people would do? It's like the pot calling the kettle black. You out here saying you a dirty, rotten scoundrel, you a cheater, you a bad person, and da-da-da-da, but your timelines don't make sense. You see how this works? So this is a pleasure for me to do this deep dive and really ether you, right? Because you out here, instead of just doing what's right, coming clean, or not talking about it, that's also an option. Be like, you know what? We did our dirt. We don't care about karma. We don't care about none of that. We in love now. I ain't answering no question. That, you know, you could do that. And then people will just have to make up the rest of the story or be mad at you for that. But at least you wouldn't be trying to insult our intelligence. You're not doing that. You don't want to do right. You're like, oh, Miss Shanika, you a cheater, right? So I'll leave y'all with this. While you're sitting up here calling Miss Shanika a cheater, not your ex-fiance, Tony Rich, not your ex-fiance, saying, quote, I don't even hate Claressa Shields after she played me for this head. Ha, ha, ha. Spread love, not hate. You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house. You said Miss Shanika is the leader of the cheaters. But your ex says, I don't even hate Claressa Shields after she played me. What's that about? Rissa.